So today we're going to have a little bit of a different kind of episode of Inside IALR. Normally I think we show a lot of our more public-facing programs and people, but today we really wanted to show sort of behind the scenes of, some of the people, some of the teams that keep our campus running, keep our organization moving so that we can, contribute to our mission of economic transformation. So we're here today with Stewart East, who's the Manager of Facilities and Maintenance, and Tim Kruggel, the Director of Information Technology. Thank you guys for being here. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Caleb.
Sure.
And we also got Daniel Dalton, our producer, on the mic. He might hop in at some point if you hear a voice you haven't heard before. That's Daniel. Well, you have heard him. He's on the news, but you'll hear him again. But to start, I know you guys have both been here a while, so just tell us a little bit about sort of, your history with IALR and then what each of your departments do.
Yeah, I came in at the tail end of 2010, a long time ago. A lot of water has gone under the bridge since then. I came into the IT department, we were just basically had a couple buildings to maintain, a staff of 35 people
Yep.
or so back then. Pretty cut and dry, concise environment for IT. We were handling a lot of event coverage and things like that for AV needs. And my, have we grown.
Yep. So I've been here since about 2013, 10-year anniversary actually this year.
Nice.
Just went through that. Like Tim said, there's been a lot of water under the bridge. Our departments work well together. We've got a lot of opportunities here. As far as maintenance, and much like what Tim just said, when we first started 10 years ago, there was only a couple of buildings here and much less square footage and much less activity. And obviously we'll go into some of that a little later, but our folks on staff here have doubled in the number of staff. So
Yeah, no, and I mean, I've been here a year, and it seems like every couple weeks we're getting new people that it's not replacing old people, just new people in new positions. And I think we have over 100 employees now. So yeah, definitely what we are talking about, 35 people. That's a big jump from 35 to 100.
Yep.
So for y'all's teams, I know sort of a mix of what you all do with, I would imagine, I've seen it in action too, but it's a mix of short-term, hey, this thing is broken, I need help right now, can you fix this, to long-term, more long-term and big picture stuff. So what does that look like for both of you guys and your teams, and how do you balance those things?
So I think that's definitely key is to not fall behind and not try to catch up. So that event planning and maintenance planning and equipment planning, at least from my perspective, is super important. And obviously that goes with the day-to-day things that kind of happen on that daily basis. Those help desk tickets, which we'll talk about, in the future here. It can be challenging to kind of keep up with the upcoming technologies and different things like that.
You have those tickets, and we both work off of a ticketing system between the departments.
Mm-hmm.
Very similar, but you have those problems that come in that are easy to knock off. You just you're fixing problems and staff is going out, but then you have these tickets that come in, a problem that comes in that is much larger. It requires a lot more knowledge, in depth, a lot more, digging into the problem, and those are the ones that are a challenge. It requires just like a whole new knowledge of and understanding of what the problem is, getting deeper. It could be weeks or months working on a problem like that. Mm-hmm. And we've had them. I mean, we've got some pretty complex operations here that requires a lot of in-depth knowledge, and what you're seeing in the help desk is only a symptom of a deeper problem that takes a lot of time to
Yeah,
get
I think that's a great point, Tim. You may have a help desk come in that really takes 30 seconds to
Yep.
fix, or it takes a month. So it's hard to look at those numbers and kind of justify what you're doing on a day-to-day basis based on those numbers.
Right, yeah.
So what you're saying is you need more people to put in tickets that all they need is to restart their computer just to boost your numbers, right?
That's right. Got to bump
Yeah.
those numbers up.
Yes, yeah.
Tim, you said that in the early days when you were here, a lot of what we were doing was more cut and dry. How has, I guess, the complexity of what we're doing for both of y'all's teams, how has that changed with, I mean, I would imagine with what even research is doing, there's some complexity there in terms of equipment they're working with. For manufacturing, I know, I mean, they're working with very large scale, complicated, high tech stuff. So what is that like working with that? You know, we're not just talking about laptops for all of our employees.
Yeah, we've tripled probably our the scope of what the IT department covers. When we first started, this is an example, when we first started, we didn't have access control between the campus buildings and doors. Now, nearly every door on the campus is controlled via access control, electronically controlled locks, and badge system where, requiring badge and access to get into doors. Just that alone was quite a big undertaking and a change from where we first started, where we were just basically operating under lock and key.
And that piece really affects both of us from the security and access control side, because there's a mechanical aspect there, but there's also a data access, which goes back to the IT side.
I mean, I've heard some stories of you guys talking about, especially for the equipment that's in the labs for the ATDM program, the Accelerated Training in Defense Manufacturing. I know that stuff is not simple. I mean, we're talking large-scale 3D printers and all kinds of stuff like that. So what's it been like setting up that space? Especially, I know, Stuart, for you, there was the area where you guys basically had to build a separate section of floor, right?
Yeah, so the logistics aspect of all of this was what was so difficult. You had to fit 24 pieces of equipment in very limited space. Obviously, and we'll discuss this in a minute, but we're building a facility to house all this now, and we took that into account. We've got plenty of space there, but we had to, as a stopgap measure, we had to make the facility we had work to get this program moving. So we had to utilize an architect to lay out how we could fit 24 CNC machines into a certain space, and make it code compliant and make it usable. So, and then we move over to our welding lab, which is kind of the same thing. So we've got a duct system in there that removes all the dangerous fumes created by welding. We've also got curtains we have to put up that controls that UV light. And then additive manufacturing. We've got some specialized foundations that needed to be built for certain equipment because it was so large and heavy, and also to prevent vibrations from other equipment affecting that. So one of our other buildings, the Center for Manufacturing Advancement, we just recently put in a DMG Mori CNC machine. That's a pretty high-end piece of equipment made in Japan, and it is so accurate and precise that even a small vibration from a CNC machine right beside of it could affect the part that it's putting out. So we had to actually cut out a brand new cement floor and pour and dig a hole out in the middle of it essentially, and pour a 24-inch thick foundation that was insulated with foam between that and the actual floor.
So that's one of those projects you're talking about that takes that you
A
don't
month.
finish in 30 seconds. Yeah, no, that's really interesting. Yeah, having to dig out the floor and make a new one basically. We've talked about it a little bit, but we have 5 buildings now, I think, and then the 6th one that, as you mentioned, is under construction for the ATDM program. What is the challenge there of, I guess when you guys started, we're talking 2 versus 6? I mean, what's that like trying to manage all that, both from, I mean, the digital infrastructure and making sure that all the networks go across to actually, making sure that everything's running in the building and things like that.
So I jotted down some notes, and I'll read off a few specs real quick. It's kind of hard to remember these numbers, but we've got the main Institute building. It's 20 years old, 93,000 square feet. We've got a 8,400 square foot great hall that can be divided into 6 different salons. We've got conference rooms, classrooms, laboratories, office space, all that just in this one building. Our Charles Hawkins building, it's 15 years old, 38,000 square foot. It's divided up into office space and low bays. Our Syntec building, and that is actually a LEED certified gold building. It's 12 years old, 23,000 square feet, office space, high bays, laboratory space. Our Rapid Launch building, which was built 3 years ago, 14,000 square feet, 2 high bays, office and meeting space. Our CMA building, which is Center for Manufacturing Advancement, it was completed 1 year ago, 52,000 square feet. It's got 5 high bays, a metrology space, Industry 4.0 lab, office and meeting space. And then, of course, our ATDM building, which is under construction now. When completed, it'll be 100,000 square feet. It'll include welding labs, CNC labs, additive manufacturing labs, metrology labs, non-destructive testing labs, classrooms, and staff offices.
Good grief, Stewart. You just rattled that off at the top of your head?
That's right.
Those are some good
Man.
notes right there.
I think you should be giving tours.
Yeah, I'm giving one tomorrow. You can take my spot.
Okay.
It's fine.
I'll add to
yeah.
that, like, we've got to become, we're working to become more efficient at what we do. Obviously, with an expanding campus, our staff is not expanding as fast as our campus is. So we've got to become more efficient at the things that we do, which means better remote capability into the machines that we're helping the people, better visibility across the campus network about what is working, what is not. So we're working on efficiencies of operation. I think to a degree you probably are also.
Yep.
Like just having a better overall picture of the status of the campus so that you can get the status in a couple of minutes, and you don't have to run around or walk around between buildings to get that information.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point, Tim, that obviously we can't do this alone. We've both got great team members that contribute. It's hard for us to look forward, but also be able to do current projects at the same time. So we rely a lot on the staff that we have available, and they do a fantastic job.
And let's not forget about the golf carts.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
We put a lot of miles on golf carts.
We've currently got 5 on the campus, and all 5 get used every day, almost all day.
Yeah, and if you come for a group tour of IALR, you'll get to ride in one of our golf carts. So that's another reason you
That's
should
right.
come check out a tour. Good point, Daniel. Good point. Tim, you had mentioned this earlier on, but I think what's cool about y'all's teams is that you both obviously are supporting, in a lot of ways, a lot of what you do is supporting other IALR employees, but you're also supporting ICC guests with support services, with technology and things like that, as well as we have several tenants here. So talk about that, how you guys are, not just supporting the people who work here, but the people who are renting space here, or the people who are coming here for events.
Yeah, that is an important aspect of the IT department in particular, is that we are covering the needs of our ICC Institute Conference Center guests. We hold a high standard, just like Stewart's department does, of excellence in all we do. We seek to try to accommodate people's needs in there as far as their technology goes. So we help, guests from load their PowerPoints, of getting their projection systems online, making sure their audio quality is where it needs to be. And, from there to tenants that are leasing space, we're working on problems that are unique to a particular tenant. I'm talking about IT issues, network-related issues. So we work with our tenants to, of course, make their network access as secure as possible, giving them a pathway to the internet and securely, and also working on the overall security of everyone on campus.
Mm-hmm. And how many tenants do we have at a given time? Is that
Stewart knows.
3 or 4 or 5 or 6. It's hard to keep track sometimes. So to kind of talk about that same piece, Caleb, obviously the Institute here, we've got 5 different facets that we really try to focus on, which are advanced learning and applied research, manufacturing advancement, economic development, and the Institute Conference Center. So on top of the tenets that we have in place and all of those, I've kind of jotted down a few things that the facilities side kind of does for all those facets. So for advanced learning, this is just something I thought of a minute ago. We loaded 100 tables for a Career Choice Expo that we had in the Ag Center in Chatham. For applied research, we've got 2 greenhouses on our campus, and we do quite a bit with them with the controlled environmental ag piece with them. For manufacturing advancement, of course, the ATDM program and the CMA building. The economic development, they've got a ton of meetings that really any economic development that does anything in this area flows through the Institute main building. And then, of course, the Institute Conference Center, which graciously loaned their tables out for that Career Choice Expo. Obviously looking after the contract crews that we have on the grounds, taking care of those so it looks nice. Moving walls in the Great Hall and kind of teaching some of the staff how to do that. And then, of course, taking care of the actual Great Hall and conference rooms.
Yeah, no, I think that's really cool, that, like, hearing you lay that out like that that every division, every department here should be able to point back to our mission of economic transformation and how they, as an individual and as a team, are contributing to that. And that's cool to hear both of you guys talk about that you see that connection to what you're doing to our overall mission and impact. And really that you're enabling a lot of that mission and impact to happen.
Yep.
I want to keep it light. So what are the funniest or most memorable help desk tickets or requests for help that your departments have received?
Well, I don't know whether it's a help desk ticket. So we work hand in hand with ICC on events, and we've had a lot of different events that happen here. I mean, we've had boxing matches and
I'm still waiting for the pictures on that one. I've heard of that, and I am still waiting for the pictures.
And like anything, I mean, when I'm covering event, we chip in wherever is needed. So some events, like I've been in the kitchen plating food because it has been an all-out effort to supply food for a great hall full of people that are hungry. And so I have done everything from plate food to serve to clean up the floor during events. It's pretty intense at times when you have a room of 400 people or something like that, and you have things go wrong. We've had power outages right in the middle of events that have happened before that this caused problem. So yeah, we've had quite a few different things that have come up over the years.
Yeah, kind of to that same point, Tim, talking about groups in our Great Hall. One of the things you don't think about, especially in the wintertime, is even if it's 20 degrees outside, if you get 300 or 400 people together in the same room, they produce a lot of body heat.
Yeah.
So when it's 20 degrees, we don't have the ability for our chillers to run chilled water to cool the space. It relies on outside air. So I've been called, Saturday night at 9 o'clock saying, hey, we've got it's really hot in here. So I have to bypass some of the safety measures on our chillers to produce some cool air to cool the space back down. I guess it's too much dancing and singing going on in some of those events.
But no, I think it's important what both of you guys and your teams do. I mean, really, if you think about it, you guys are keeping the lights on and keeping the computers working so that computers and all sorts of other technology to make sure that, the work that we do here can happen. And I think that's really cool. And obviously, you guys have talked about the growth and the challenges that come, I guess the challenges that have come with that growth, that it's getting bigger, it's getting more expansive, it's more complex. And clearly you guys are doing a great job keeping up with all of that. So
I think I work so closely with Stewart on just about every problem touches an aspect of mechanics and vice versa.
Yeah.
All mechanics touches a part of IT, so they're really intermixed at a network level sometime where, the doors, the windows, the heating control, that everything is tied in some way together. So that's why, we work closely together on these problems.
Yeah, to that same point, Tim, we actually got a help desk. I think it came to me for the ATDM program. They utilize time clocks for their students, so they know when they clock in, clock out for lunch, clock back in, clock out to go home. And they need us to mount the actual time clocks and provide power, and then they need IT to provide data to those time clocks. So it's things like that, on a daily basis we're working together.
I got two things to ask.
yes. Uh-oh. Daniel's hopping in.
What's the percentage? What's the balance between your help desk tickets and like your normal daily job responsibilities?
I think it really depends on the day. I mean, some days it can be 50-50. Other days, and these are few and far between, but you may or may not get any help desk tickets, and those are good days.
I thought you were asking for more.
Nothing is breaking.
Yeah, he is asking for more with a statement like that. Now, of course, I've got a staff of some great people that handle tickets and events and things like that. So the challenge is being more strategic in my thinking and working at a higher level for the overall vision of the campus technology and what I foresee is going to be the need coming forward and going ahead. I plan for success really in the things that we do. So I planned in offering, I guess, what we need to get a program up and running and developing, but also the success of that program into more expansion. An example of that is our recent relationship with NavAir, the air side of the Navy that is on campus right now, that's going through our additive manufacturing training. I'm anticipating the growth of that program. Mm-hmm. I haven't been asked, but I've got to be ready with a solution, and I'm planning on the success of that program and needing to expand it. So that's the type of strategic approach and anticipation that you need, I guess, to really be one step ahead.
Right, that's a great point, Tim, about NavAir. Hopefully what will happen is once the ATDM program moves across the street, that NavAir program will actually remain in our Charles Hawkins building. So one of the things that I have to look at is both electrical power and compressed air. So what we have in place currently will not support the program that we want to build there. So I have to kind of plan and engineer essentially what's going to take place in that building to make that happen.
When you came to the Institute, and Stewart, you too, how closely was IT working with facilities maintenance, 10, 11, 12 years ago versus now? Were they a little bit more separate, or were they about the same?
Yeah,
or?
I would say they were a little more separate, just because we didn't have, a large part of the thing that we come together on is door access and security and things like that. When we're just dealing with, physical keys handing out, there wasn't really a tie-in IT like it is now, where we're, working with electrical, mechanical locks and badge access that has problems and quirks. So back then there probably wasn't as much, but it still remained on some things.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that totally. 10 years ago there was a definite separation there, and today it just cannot be. There's so much integrated technology between the two that we have to work together. And kind of back to what Tim was talking about with the security piece. It's kind of interesting how we do that because of the facilities department, is around campus more than, say, the IT department, just kind of moving from building to building day to day. We have a good idea on who needs access where, so all of those access requests come through me, but I put in a help desk ticket to the IT department to get the actual cards made.
Yeah.
Layers of help desk tickets.
That's
Is that
right.
what you're saying?
Yep.
So Stewart gets he's the first line of picking up the phone for, I'm counting 9 or maybe even 10 tenants that are on campus here now. So he's the point of the spear for handling. But then he routes the tickets over to the IT department
when necessary.
When necessary. Yeah.
Well, that's all the questions that I have. I mean, is there any other parting thoughts or stories or anything else that you all would want to share?
I don't know. We've got our work cut out for us with the RTC building, the Regional Training Center. Mm-hmm. We're both going over to, and this is the third or fourth building now that we've been in job site trailers, having weekly meetings on the development. We're slogging through mud, driving up in and out of a job site, but trying to get these buildings built and get all of the details hammered out on time, I guess, for getting them getting them up.
Yep, like Tim said, again, this is our third or fourth building, and you learn a little bit of something on each one. Mm-hmm. And so this last one, hopefully, we'll get everything right on it. But like Tim said, we're over there several times a week meeting with the general contractors and architects and engineers, just trying to get every single little piece perfect on it.
Yeah, that's cool that you guys get to be involved in that process and not just walk in after the fact, but get to help sort of create what that infrastructure is going to look like. So,
yep.
Well, yeah, thank you guys again for the work that you do, for keeping this place running, for your contributions to. Thank you both and your teams for your contributions to this organization, and thanks for being here today and sharing some. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Megabytes IALR's on-site cafe features everyday favorites, convenient ordering options, and an eager staff ready to welcome and serve you. Our enticing menus offer something for everyone, from a fresh, well-stocked salad bar, wraps, sandwiches, and our rotating hot buffet offered on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Megabytes is open Monday through Friday from 9:15 a.m. until 1:30 p.m. To view menus and for more information, visit IALR.org/megabytes.